All right, I'm going to ask somebody from each table to describe what's different between plant cells versus animal cells. When we look at these Google images, we can see some patterns with plant cells and some patterns with animal cells just by looking at them, not by even worrying about what their organelles are or anything like that, but just looking visually at these cells. Kaya, what's one of the things your group discussed that is the main difference between plant cells and animal cells?
Plant cells are kind of more organized looking.
Plant cells are more organized looking?
Yeah. And
Okay.
they fit well together, and then animal cells are kind of messy.
And they fit well together. And then the animal cells look a little bit more messy. All right? Abby, what did your group discuss?
Plant cells are more elongated, like this, and thinner.
Okay, plant cells typically look more elongated, more like a rectangular type shape.
Yes.
Okay. Seamus, what did your group discuss back here?
Like, I don't know, it's like animal cells seem to be like a bit more spread out than the plant cells, like not as compact.
Okay, they're more blobular. I just made that word up. More blobby and less compacted. They're not as organized looking. All right, Wade, what about you guys? What did you discuss?
So we thought that plant cells look more like bricks, kind of.
Okay.
Stacked on top of each other, and animal cells look more like just like a bunch of circles.
Okay, animal cells are more circular and plant cells more bricky.
Yeah, and I also noticed that plant cells tend to be like either blue or green, and animal cells are usually like pink, purple, or red.
Okay, that's a really good observation, is the color difference. Green in the plant cells is more common. In the animal cells, it's more common to see those red, pink, purple colors. Now, if we go back to the organelles, plant cells have chloroplasts, which are green. They have chlorophyll in them, which makes them green. So usually you're going to see green in a plant cell. But over here on our table, we have some root of an onion. Is the root of an onion green? No, it's not, because it's underground. It does not photosynthesize. It does not make energy from sunlight. It goes down into the ground to find nutrients. So the only green part of a plant is the part that actually photosynthesizes and makes energy from the sun. So you're not going to see green in a plant cell unless it's a leafy or a green part that's photosynthesizing. So these patterns here allow us to be able to figure out the difference just by looking at cells that are plant versus animal cells. Now, here's the riddle. If I pull up fungi cells in a microscope, okay, I want you to choose in your own mind right now, without saying it to your partners at your table. When we look at these cells of fungi under a microscope, do they look more plant celly or more animal celly?
More like
Raise your hand if you think plant cell. It looks more like a plant cell. 0 hands, one half of a hand. All right. What about, raise your hand if they look like animal cells? Most people. You know what? It's crazy. Let me draw you a little tree. A little history tree. I'll show you what happened. Okay, what happened is that originally we only had prokaryotic type of cells, single cells, and then those cells gobbled up other cells and became eukaryotic cells. And then those eukaryotic cells had some stresses, and some of them did better over here, and some of them did better over here. And what I mean by that is that some of those eukaryotic cells evolved to become animal cells. And then along that path, though, those same eukaryotic cells at one point, these cells started doing better over here, and these ones started to become plant cells. Now, here's what's interesting is fungi followed this path here, and instead of going on the plant route, it was like animals, but it branched off here. So is it like animals? Well, not really. But is it like plants? No, it's more like animals than it is like plants. So fungi are closer. If we traveled back in time, fungi and animals are actually closer in relationship than animals and plants, and closer in relationship than fungi and plants. So fungi are a lot more like animals than they are like plants. What do fungi eat? Where do you find mold? Where do you find fungi?
They eat they kind of like decompose dead things, basically.
They eat dead stuff. They eat the stuff we don't eat, basically. Or once they eat it, we don't eat it anymore because it has mold on it. So if you think about fungi eat the same stuff we eat. They just eat it later than we would eat it. Plants, what do they eat? The sun. That's right. So fungi are a lot more like us. They actually breathe in oxygen and they eat food like we eat, dead stuff. If we didn't have fungi in this world, we would have probably 3 miles deep of a bunch of dead carcasses of dinosaurs and old like mammoths and stuff because nothing would decompose without fungi. So fungi is what allows us to have soil. It's pretty great. All right, so based on this discussion that we had this morning about the organelles and about the differences between plant cells, animal cells, and fungi cells, this should allow you to breeze through the black diamond tasks and be able to complete those different assignments.